So as the mercenary, I can't play favorites.
No house.
Do you have a favorite?
Gryffindor, which
Gryffindor. Because it's your name.
Because my name's Griffin, and if that wasn't my favorite, it would be the Basement Children.
Okay.
Because I imagine that Grimace from McDonald's might live down there.
We have a very special panel today. This is the Fire Emblem panel. And as we bring them up on stage, I'm going to let them introduce themselves one by one. So let's make some noise, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Get to know each other.
Hi.
Check, check, check.
It's either a shaver or it's a microphone.
Right? It could be both.
So, who wants to start this train? Go for it, Joe.
I'm Joe Zieja. I play Claude in Fire Emblem, which is why I guess you guys are here for the Fire Emblem panel.
Woo! Yes! I'm excited to be seated next to Joe Zieja. My name's Mark Whitten, and I play Seteth in Fire Emblem Three Houses. Oh, hey, there we go. Got some gain. Also, Leon and Harid in Heroes.
I'm Griffin Burns. I voice Cyril, but I like to call him Cyril, and he loves Lady Rhea. And that's all I have to say about him. Thanks for coming out.
Welcome, Pennsylvania. Good to see you, Philly people. I'm David Lodge. I am Geralt in Fire Emblem. I'm also the narrator. So thank you. Thanks for Fire Emblem. Thank you.
All right, we got a couple questions for everybody here. I thought I lost the mic there for a second. So let's start with, which house is your favorite?
Gryffindor.
Gryffindor is a solid house, I will have to
Gryffindor.
say. Gryffindor is a solid house. I feel like Gryffindor is like Clown Town. Yeah. Which is very much like Golden Deer, which I guess is...
Can you not have that as a favorite house?
I don't know. Like,
I mean, legitimately, I gather it is your favorite house, right?
yeah, I'd probably get slaughtered on Twitter if I said it wasn't my favorite house.
Oh, definitely.
I'm just not here for that today.
Definitely would. My favorite house is the Black Eagles, and that will get us slaughtering on Twitter for being in the church. But I really like Edelgard, so
What are the many
conflicted
houses? I forgot. Can you tell us the houses? Do you know?
Me personally, no.
No, you personally?
Oh, this is going to be fun.
Hold on.
No, let's just have you two guys talk about Fire Emblem.
Exactly. Do you know the other houses?
Golden Deer, Black Eagles, Blue Lions, and then
the Basement Children.
the Basement Children.
Okay. There we go.
So the Basement Children are purple, though, right? Yeah.
They're gray, purple.
gray.
There's a lot of purple in there.
There's
for
like
sure.
they're shady. Yeah. So which one? Just out of those
out of the
choices,
colors.
do you like deer? Do you like lions?
Well, Geralt, is he part of, what house is he part of? Anybody remember?
No, he's not part of any house.
He's just he's the sword breaker, so he's not a part of
It's just a merc.
He's just a mercenary. So as the mercenary, I can't play favorites.
No house.
Do you have a favorite?
Gryffindor, which
Gryffindor. Because it's your name.
Because my name's Griffin, and if that wasn't my favorite, it would be the Basement Children.
Okay.
Because I imagine that Grimace from McDonald's might live down there.
Yeah, actually, he would fit right in.
You said they're purple, and
He would fit right in.
Alejandro Saab actually voices Grimace, the basement child. Well, that got off the rails.
Do you remember the Grimace shake thing that was going on TikTok? Anybody?
Yeah.
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 Wasn't that so funny?
Is that like a digestible shake or like a shake that you physically?
It was a shake.
understand.
It was a shake that you could drink from McDonald's. A purple, and it was to honor Grimace for his birthday.
Well, I got a question for that. I actually voiced Grimace in the McDonald's commercial.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
Now we're on topic.
I'm the voice of Grimace in the McDonald's commercial with the double eyes and all that
Wow.
weird stuff. So I didn't know about the TikTok thing, and then my wife told me, she goes, yeah, there's some here. So they sold out of the Funko Grimace, and when I went to buy it, it was like $15, and now it's like $195 or some ridiculous thing for the Grimace. Isn't this a weird? Yeah, we got off top.
What a circle! What a circle that was.
Did you bid on it? Do you have one
You
yet?
own it now?
I have one because I bought it when it was
Can
cheap.
you sign my Grimace?
I can
Funko
sign-
app?
yeah.
Have
As
you
long
tried?
as
Have you tried the shake?
No.
It
Should I try the shake?
It'll kill you.
It'll kill you.
That's the trend. Is everybody does? Oh,
Don't leave. We're going to
sorry.
talk about Fire
We're talking
Emblem.
One mention
I
of Grimace.
swear.
We'll stay
Is
on
it because of
topic.
Grimace? Okay.
It's
We'll
'cause
stay on topic. we
Grimace or
promise.
Gryffindor, one of the two. It already went down.
Well, there's a small little tidbit for fun there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's
What
fine.
was your
They paid me. It's a
I wanna-
national.
I want to hear your
Oh, nice.
Grimace voice.
Hey, everybody, it's me, Grimace.
There it is.
Rocky and Bullwinkle.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, they had a lunchbox, some kind of weird lunchbox thing.
Sweet.
Yeah, don't ask me. I'm tired. I'm old. I don't know. I don't remember anything.
I love it.
I'm going to ask you all the questions
Thank
because
you,
of that.
Joe. Thank you, Mark.
All right, moving on.
Another question.
All right, yes, I got another one for you. That was so
Lock the
amusing,
doors.
I had to let it go. How is voice acting for a video game different from anime?
Let's see. Does anybody want to be a voice actor or is interested in it at all? Okay, cool. There's one person and three people.
Got a few.
Sometimes it's very similar, to be honest, but I would say the big difference is video games, you tend to cover a lot more ground. You're not necessarily recording to picture, so you'll go in and you'll be, knocking out maybe 50 to 60 lines or more in an hour. You're doing a lot of efforts. Just to give you an example, they might be like, okay, next up we have efforts. You're going to do some small hits, some medium-sized hits, and some large hits. So you'll go down the line, you'll do like a, and then a, and then a, whatever. And then you'll do impacts, like you're taking damage. And so I would say it's shorter burst kind of work. It can be a little more aggressive on your voice. Anime, you go in and you've got picture and you've got beeps and you got, and it's a lot of timing. It's very technical. I don't know what else is there to it.
Well, you hit on the key thing that with video games, unless it's a dub, most of the time you're doing original voice work, meaning you're
Yes.
allowed to bring more to the character than the flaps. When we do the anime, of course, it's in Japanese or some other language, and we have to match the flaps. We have a script. Sometimes, as actors, we get the privilege of correcting some of the writers, maybe stretching the words or adding words or shortening it. So it's a more technical process with dubbing. When it comes to video games, if we're lucky and not dubbing them, you get to be an actor and they're hiring you for your performance, which gives us a lot more leeway. Unless the lines are timed. Sometimes they're timed as well.
Yeah, sometimes video games, if you work on like a JRPG, sometimes they're very similar to an anime, and there will be cutscenes where you have to dub to them as well. But by and large, it is, I guess you would say, prelay or, well, not prelay.
Yeah, you call it relay. It's just, yeah.
You're recording the voice maybe before it. Actually, no. I don't know.
For what do
For
you
video
mean?
games.
Video games are a broad spectrum, right? Like
Yeah.
you can do, like if you're doing, like a Fire Emblem or a Genshin thing and you have a cutscene, it's going to be treated just the same as an anime where it's like beep, 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 match that timing, in your character. But, if you're doing like a Western RPG, if you're working on like, like a Skyrim or whatever, it's all going to be no one has done it before you. You don't have to match timing. They'll animate to you, right? So it's all different.
More often than not, it's not, like the cinematics aren't like planned out, so there's nothing to adhere to. It really is the point of origin. If it's a US-based game or if they're recording English as the original language, then there's a lot more leeway. And obviously, if you're following in the footsteps of other performances, then you have some more technical considerations. Yeah, I think that covered it.
Any other questions?
Yeah. I have one here for Joe. What's it like voicing 4 drastically different stories for Claude, especially after the time skip?
So you said 4 different stories.
Voicing 4 drastically different stories for Claude.
Oh, I understand. Okay. So Claude is a really interesting character because he keeps his cards so close to his chest. I'm going to broaden the question to Three Hopes, which if you're not familiar was like the spiritual sequel, alternate universe. And one of the things I found the most interesting about Claude was voicing him in Three Hopes, where he makes a lot of mistakes and pays for it, right? Three Houses, you never really, like the water's always off a duck's back, right? Like you're at war, but he's always like pretty chill about it for the most part. That was one of the most difficult parts was, between his academy phase and his war phase, his personality doesn't change all that much, but the stakes are much, much higher, which is actually like a really difficult line to walk. So I think those are like the two sets of 4 stories we're talking about there. I don't know if I danced around the question, but I'll just end. That's the end of the answer.
All right, I'm sorry, I have another house one here. The question is for everybody. What house would you want to join and why?
I think we kind of...
Didn't we hit that?
What house do you like? Yeah,
Favorite house?
But
I would not join Gryffindor.
No, in character, like if you had a choice to choose which house instead of the one that you voiced, which one would you choose?
Still probably be Golden Deer. I don't feel like being perpetually depressed or violent, so...
Gotcha.
I'm going to join Grimace in the basement.
Yeah.
I like the basement. I'm going to hang out in the basement.
It's pretty cool.
yeah, I can't imagine Seteth would necessarily change a lot of his allegiances to like something different. So he'd probably stick with the church.
Okay. This one is for Mark. How many of Sita's voice lines do you feel like you were talking to your own kids for?
Wait, could you repeat that?
Yeah, sure. It says, how many of Sita's voice lines do you feel like you were talking to your own kids for?
Like I was talking to my own kids for?
Yes, yeah.
Well,
Tell us about your kids, Mark.
I don't have kids.
How many kids do you have?
I have cats.
Oh.
2 cats. But I do try to instruct them on morality and ethics whenever I can. I did enjoy Seteth's wisdom. Definitely came out a lot in the supports, and that's, I think, where you got to explore a lot more dimension to the character, a lot more of how he cares for these young people who are growing up and growing into a very troubling world. And so I don't know, it was just really nice to see, because another thing about this kind of goes back to the recording video games thing. We don't get these scripts beforehand, so a lot of times we're learning about our characters and the tilt of their entire story as we're recording it. We don't really have scripts to study beforehand. We will have a breakdown. We follow our directors, so we have some information about how we behave, what our character is like. But all the specifics, like those supports, they come up in the moment. And to me, like, that's actually kind of, it's really neat. And when the supports are that well written as they are in Houses and Hopes, you kind of get to discover these new aspects of your character as you're recording. And it just, like, the beautiful thing about a game like this is that it really made these characters deep and rich. And I don't know if y'all experienced this when you were recording it, but I felt like I was discovering new things about the character every time I went in that kind of honestly made me want to go back and record some of the earlier stuff.
Yeah, I get that. I totally get that.
I had trouble with the pronunciation of Fodland and all these.
There was a lot of hooked on phonics going on in Fire Emblem 3 Houses, for sure.
As they said, I mean, I just got hired. I walked in, it was sunny, bright day. I get out of my car, I walk in, I go, what are we doing? And they say, oh, you're the narrator. Oh, great. I don't know anything about the project. And then they have all these words, like I said, these really hard to pronounce words. And so literally, if you're an on-camera actor, you're getting the script usually in advance. And even if you do, typically if you do an animated show, a cartoon, you get the script maybe a little in advance. But with video games, it's very spontaneous. And all of a sudden they say, oh, you're a parrot, you're a dog, you're the narrator, you're an army guy, you're the lead. Oh, so.
That's exactly what it's like.
So it's fun.
All right. I think I was set up with that question right there.
Yeah, you were.
So I guess we'll open this up here. Does anybody have any questions for them? Nobody? I'm going to come down
No questions?
Nobody has a question?
Should we go back to
Oh,
the
there we
table?
go. All right,
It
I'm
can be
coming.
about anything. Literally anything.
Yep, it doesn't have to be
Doesn't have to be
about
3
Fire
Houses,
Emblem.
voice acting,
Cats,
cats.
food,
Cats, yes, cats.
hats,
Favorite
I don't know
color.
where he's going. The bathroom is,
bats. Just gonna take a break.
Joe, what's your favorite Claude hairstyle?
What's my favorite?
Claude hairstyle.
I like his 3 Houses time skip hair, I think, the best. I think they just went a little overboard on 3 Hopes. Just keep it simple, like keep it simple. Keep him grounded.
Anybody else?
I actually have no idea what his hairstyle looks like in 3 Hopes. I was completely riffing. I have
I
no
was
idea.
imagining something quite luxurious.
It could have been.
Okay. This is for everybody. Do you have any advice on stuff to keep your voice healthy and able to record?
Water. Hydrate.
Silence.
Silence.
Silence. There is nothing you can drink, snort, gargle, swallow, absorb through your skin that will heal hurt vocal cords. And the only thing you can do is shut up. I tell students that like all the time. Like they're like, "Oh man, what do I have to drink? I have the flu and I have a session tomorrow." No, you don't have the session tomorrow. You have the flu. Stop talking. But yeah, hydration's great.
Yeah. A couple of tricks and yeah. Anyway.
I think one of the things that you learn if you're a vocal artist or if you're a singer is not to push beyond your range and to do warm-ups a little bit before you get there and talk to yourself in the car or whatever. But also it's a breathing instrument. So taking a big, deep breath before you launch. This is one of the things I tell people is that you got to have a lot to read and you want to have a full breath behind it because we're a wind instrument. So that helps preserve your vocal cords as well because you're giving it the support that it needs and you're not straining your vocal cords. However, secondly on that, I know people that have lost their voice and have damaged their vocal cords and gotten growths and what do they call them?
Polyps.
Nodes and polyps. And then they got to have surgery and their voice is never the same or whatever. So like Joe was saying, rest and just use your head. And there's a difference between screaming and being loud. I could talk more about that, but it's about projecting and, talking to the corner of the room without screaming. Because lots of times we have to scream, and I just say no. I just turned down a job. They wanted me to be a monster and creature. I said,
Same. I turn down almost every creature audition I get because that's just not me. That's not my bag, right? Like if you want someone to sound like a big giant orc, hire JB Blanc, right? Like that's I know my lane, and I don't.
Very smart.
Yeah.
Whispering can actually be bad for your voice too. So don't whisper a lot. Don't scream a lot. Hydrate or dihydrate.
Don't do anything really. Just
Don't be
if you
an
can
actor.
avoid
Don't
doing
be
it.
a voiceover
avoid it.
artist. Don't sing. I'm just kidding.
I don't drink coffee or alcohol for that reason, because my voice, I have a wide range and I want to preserve it. Alcohol tends to damage your vocal cords, and especially if you're really drunk and you regurgitate in your sleep. No, I'm sorry. I had to go. Sorry.
That's scientifically accurate. Yeah.
Sorry. I had to go there.
The acid and
Acid reflux.
Next
other
question.
And on that note,
Have them back here.
Are there any programs or audio devices that you'd recommend starting out with if you're considering voice acting?
Funny you should say that. If you go to learnvoiceacting.com, I own that website and an entire network of courses and academies that are designed to take people from zero to in the industry.
At least 100, right?
There's 120 lessons in the main academy, and then there are a couple of satellite courses and niche topics like pay-to-play spaces, social media, stuff like that. But so there's that. There's learnvoiceacting.com. I want to be a voiceactor.com is D. Bradley Baker's website. He built his career in the mid 90s, so it has that kind of spin on it, more traditional LA agent stuff.
There was a site called Voiceover Resource Guide that I
Oh,
used
the
to
Vorg.
use.
Yeah, the Vorg is great.
Yeah, so you can find a lot of classes through there, and I'm sure a lot of the coaches that are listed also probably offer like a Zoom or Skype session, so you could look at that, voiceoverresourceguide.com. Yeah.
I'd say there are a lot of resources out there, obviously. Diversifying too, trying something out, shifting over, trying something out. There's a lot of folks teaching and speaking about it, and it's good to get all these different perspectives. So if you find yourself, I don't know where to start, pick one, start there, and then see where it leads you into another resource. And in that way, you can kind of collect a whole sort of set of the knowledge that is out there. You just kind of never stop learning.
And you might want to figure out what genres you're interested in. Like some coaches are going to be better for promos and commercial. Some might do anime dubbing or animation. So, I mean, ideally, you'd want to learn kind of all the facets of voiceover, because when one genre isn't hitting so much for you, you might be booking somewhere else. Like you might do promos for a few months for a network, and then suddenly commercials pop up, and then you're on video games. So kind of knowing how to perform in those different styles is good and helpful.
Is that it, guys? Should we go back to our table? Have you guys visited us at our tables? We have tables.
Yeah.
Nobody, just to follow up on that real quick, like all four of us built our careers in completely different ways. Like how each of these guys built their careers is utterly foreign to me, and I'm sure the way I built my career is utterly foreign to them. So it's like there's no one right way. The thing that I always tell people is like, if you read every day of your life about basketball, but never get on the court and take a free throw, you will always suck at basketball. So my advice always is go and do. Yes, learn, but if you're always like, I'm getting ready to send out that first audition, you've been studying for 2 years. Like, would you get out there and start doing stuff?
Might help if you're also an actor. That's what I always tell people. They say, I want to be a voice actor. I said, well, let me ask you a question. Are you an actor? No. So you might want to work on your acting skills, because everyone has a voice, right? How you use it, and or if you're a multi-voice or you're using your own voice, you want to learn how to act. It's kind of a prerequisite in most cases.
We have another question back here.
Hey, how you doing? So I've done 2 10-second promos for work, voiceovers. My biggest question is, it always takes forever for me to actually get into like the zone for it. So what exactly would you recommend for like exercises? Like I do my alphabet and I do like different like exercises to get my throat ready and my mouth ready. But like, what do you personally do before a session? Like even if it's just like 10, 20 minutes beforehand. And the other thing is, when it comes to unions, are you within them? How fast did you jump into them? How important are they to you, etc.? Oh, double question. Sorry.
Yeah.
So when you're doing the promos, are you having trouble like getting your voice warmed up and ready, or are you having trouble jumping into the sound that you want, like the performance that you want?
I think so. I can picture the sound in my head.
Yeah.
It's more so getting it from my brain to my mouth, like being able to like verbalize those actual points that you're trying to get to, if that makes sense. Like, oh, this is 20% off, and like getting to that beat that you really want to get to, like making it feel natural.
Yeah. Well, what
Are you working in promos?
Yes.
So when you get to the studio, you have to be ready to deliver right then and there. Is that what you're talking about?
Pretty much, yes.
I mean, what I do is I have in my mind a cadre of like different styles. So I have like my MLB thing, and I have, I don't know, like Nickelodeon, and just there's different styles to these promo reads. If you have some locked in, maybe you can find some copy, or if you've had a demo professionally made that kind of showcases them, literally repeat. I repeat lines from my old ass demo from 14 years ago, and it helps me lock into a sound by just taking a line from it. Like that's my cool kid read, and that's a launching point for me. I don't know. Does anybody have?
Well, it depends on the style, like you said, because Ice Truckers is different from Tonight on NBC, an all new comedy. Those are all different styles. If you get the script in advance, go over it. Find the words that are hit more than once or that are double. There's a lot of techniques to promos. Breathing, like I said, before you launch in promos is like essential. You got to take a deep breath and get ready to hit it from the get-go. What kind do you do? What kind of promos?
E-commerce for a network many people are going to know, but I'm not going to say what it is. But like selling things on television, pretty much. But like that.
Just keep practicing until you're comfortable. I don't know what else to say because it's a tough gig.
Yeah, I said before that like each of our careers are foreign to everyone else. When I'll say very quickly like what I do to prepare, which is literally nothing. Like absolutely nothing. I do nothing. I don't warm up. I don't do vocal exercises. I have no acting background. I have no acting training. But cold reading is a skill that I did work on, and you can work on, about skipping, because what it sounds like your problem may be is there's a very busy desk that sits between your brain and your mouth, and there's someone at that desk going, this is wrong, I don't like this, throw this out, you should do this, right? Cold reading is the skill of like doing it over and over again so that you skip over that desk. right? And there's lots of different like ways to practice cold reading. This guy named Jim Quick, Kwik, he had like a traumatic brain injury when he was younger. I'll tell the story real quick. He had a traumatic brain injury when he was younger and had to like relearn how to do a lot of cognitive things. And then now he became one of those people that can like read a book in 3 minutes, right? And he talks about like some of the ways that he had to adjust how the data goes from like the page to his brain.
Right.
And so like you add that next step of like out of your mouth. Almost every single thing I do is cold read. I never prepare. That there's a book that's called An Actor Prepares, and I feel like the person who wrote that hates me personally. So yeah, it's like totally different. Do lots of different stuff until you figure out what works. Do it cold. Do it after jumping jacks. Do preparatory exercises. Find an archetype for yourself. Like what Griffin was saying. You know, like you have that like, oh, this is my MLB read, and then riff off that until you figure out what works. It's totally different for everybody.
Anybody else?
You don't have to limit this to just Fire Emblem, but was there a character that you have voiced that you've been surprised by the popularity of them?
Oh, yeah.
Grimace, right? No.
Yeah, Grimace. Genshin Impact. Are you familiar with Genshin Impact? So I think several of us are in that game. I auditioned for that I think before COVID happened, and to me it was just another audition. It was just another JRPG, didn't think twice about it. I auditioned 3 weeks later, booked the job, or maybe a month later, I don't know, and I had a session, and at that point the director was like, oh, this game's going to be huge, and I've heard that said many, many times, and you never believe it because you just don't. You know, most projects don't become what people think they're going to be. But this was the first time where it just blew up, and it changed my social media presence and being able to go to cons, and changed a lot for me. So I had no idea, and I don't think a lot of people thought that it would be what it is. So, yeah.
I think anime in general, when I started, because I'm 106 years old, they used to pay like $45 an hour way back when, and then it was $65. And I had kids, and I went in there, and I did it begrudgingly. I'm talking about Jiraiya, Naruto, one of my biggest characters, and when I recorded it, I couldn't care less, really. I hate to say that. Not because I didn't like the story or the character, it's just that it took me an hour to get to the gig, 2 hours to record. I was making $90 after taxes, 75 plus gas. It was like, really, like, why am I doing this? Because I had jobs with Disney or video games like these guys or whatever that paid way better. But now, I'm happy to say that we're getting paid pretty good now, right? For ADR, for
It's
anime.
okay. It's still the lowest paying voice acting work you can do.
It's the hardest, too.
It's the most technical and least paying voice acting work, period.
So to answer your question, sorry guys, is just basically when I was doing some of the anime that's now famous, I really couldn't wait to get out of the studio and get home and work on something that paid better. But now we're, meeting you guys, which is fantastic. And anime's launch into this world is just, it's unbelievable.
For me, it was absolutely Claude. And it was like a specific conversation. We were 6 months from launching the game. I had recorded almost everything. And I was on a break in the studio, and Patrick Seitz, the director, was like, have you seen the fan art for Claude? I was like, fan art? The game hasn't come out yet. He's like, oh, you don't know. And I was like, no, what? And he opens up his phone and just starts scrolling through endless posts and images about Claude and Fire Emblem. I was like, oh, I had no clue. I had played a Fire Emblem game, and I was like, oh, this is cool. Great. I had no idea that Three Houses was going to be anywhere near as big as it was. That was the biggest surprise of my career to date, I think.
I didn't even know it was a big game even after it came out and I was in it. I only knew because maybe your Twitter.
Yeah, maybe.
I didn't even know, and then people were like, oh, you're Cyril, that's so cool. And I'm like, oh, because I wasn't doing cons, I wasn't doing any fan engagement at that time, so I had no idea. But
all I knew is any character with the letter J gets killed that I play, so that's all I can say. So
Uh-oh, that's not good. For me, it was Rengoku, oddly enough, even though I knew Demon Slayer was like a big show, I knew I wanted to get into it. I think that I didn't realize how many personal stories I would hear from folks about how that moment affected their life or helped them through a tough time in life. Really like, some stuff that's been fairly intimate and vulnerable. And that I never knew. It's kind of this stair step that I kept on going up, where I was like, oh, this is Demon Slayer is really cool. Oh, this is gonna be like a movie. Oh, it's neat. Oh, I mean, it just kept on building and building, and then like you said, going to cons and meeting people is where you see a lot of that reflected back. And I don't think I'll ever really wrap my head around how it has that much of an impact. A lot of the stuff that we do.
Has it had a Genshin Impact?
Genshin Impact indeed.
I saw that coming from a mile away.
Yeah. No, Genshin was the same thing though, where it was like I didn't really know a ton about Genshin, but then when I signed on to the old Tweety and scroll past, and it's like months from a character even coming out, and character art already exists for a character that has not been announced in any official capacity. So people are even like starting to like pursue it and like get leaks from the game. So
and then you retweet it like an idiot because you don't know.
Whoopsies.
That never happened.
Yeesh. Yeah. So that sort of stuff. It's but it's cool. And I mean, honestly, like a lot of what gets me is that the reflection that you get in person when you come to cons and you meet people and you meet the people who it's actually having an effect on. I mean, the feed is interesting too, and you see that reflection in people's art, but seeing like people face to face and their experiences with it it's something that's pretty cool.
We have anybody else?
We had one up front.
I saw one up front, yeah.
There we go.
You guys play any games, and what's your favorite if you do?
Oh yeah. I'm playing way too many games right now. But my current infatuation and what I think is well deserving of every award it's won is Baldur's Gate. Phenomenal game, really well put together, really great translation of 5e. The acting in it is outstanding. Like, I sit there and I just watch that game over and over again because the detail that they put into it, the performances they get are just out of this world, and it's great. It's down to like BS NPCs too that are like just performances I would love to see that I see on TV shows. There's like a random person you save from a bunch of mushrooms, and he has one of the coolest like ways of being all at once addled and yet just on the edge of grasping at a memory that once was, with his domineering wife who has sent him out on odd errands. So yeah, that one I'm playing and I love it. And if anyone's ever been questioning it, don't, just play the game.
I'm playing P3R right now. I love the Persona series, and it was fun to be in the Reload. And Rocket League has been sucking up like way too many hours of my life. I think Rocket League, every once in a while, like I have to delete it because it's ruining my backlog. Right? Like I'll have like all these other games. Like I haven't played Jedi Fallen Order yet. You know, like my backlog is pretty big. I just beat on the airplane ride over here, Cuphead. And I found that very satisfying. So I play a lot of games, a lot of different games.
I'm not a huge gamer, but I used to love Tomb Raider, and I played all the Uncharteds, and I just love that style of game. So yeah, that's about it.
I'm on a lot of games, but I don't have time to play them, but my son likes to get the free games, so that's all I can say. But I liked Red Dead Redemption. I like that game, and I like World of Warcraft because I'm on a lot of that. But, you know, when you're working as an actor, I mean, I have kids and stuff, and you just go, you know. I don't
know, man. I'm working after with kids. I game all the time.
We used to play Super Mario, okay? Nintendo 64.
Okay,
all right?
okay.
There you go.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, you can dig into
Now we're
it.
talking.
You can dig into
go back in there.
The history, the nostalgia, for sure.
One more question, and then we got to get back to
Over there, Ray.
Yeah.
I got to get back to the desk.
Over here.
I got to eat dinner too.
I was curious, what would be a performance that you were particularly proud of, a performance or two you're proud of that you wish more people knew about?
Okay, I'll go real quick. I'm in something called Superman Red Sun. I get to play Superman, Perry White, and Bizarro. It's one of my favorite stories. It's what if Superman was raised in the Soviet Union. So I got to be a Russian Superman. Okay, so that's something that I think was just fantastic that I worked on. It's still on YouTube. We did it about 15 years ago, and then they did a relaunch of it. But if you watch it, it's really good. It's a motion comic, but the actors are really good. I can name some of the actors, but you'll know them when you hear it.
I'm in a game called Fallout 76. There's a new Atlantic City expansion. And I got a nice juicy role, like 500 lines in it. The guy's name is Vince Russo. I don't think anybody knows that I'm in it. It wasn't even, I don't even know why. I'm not even in the credits. I think because there's so many actors in that game that at this point they don't even, so I had to add my own self to IMDb for it, which is really lame. But all the lines were super theatrical. It was nice to take a break from the heightened anime and JRPGs and do something that was a little more grounded, and I thought I handled it really well, so I'd say if you like that game, check it out.
My favorite fuzzy boy that I wish people knew more about was Aarox the Mutilator in Elder Scrolls Online. He's a tiny, he's a little giant titan who got trapped into a rat body, and he's got a lot of pent-up aggression, and I love him.
I was a lead in 4 seasons of the Lego show on Nickelodeon, and like none of my fans know that at all. And like it was probably the most fun job of my life because it was an ensemble cast where I was like in the same room with like 12 other actors who were way better than me. And when they hired me, like I walked in and it was like the voice of Hulk and the voice of Captain America, like Dexter from Dexter's Lab, Johnny Bravo, and then me. And I was like, did you send the right email? Zieja's hard to screw up. So that's probably like my favorite job. I thought I think I did okay, but it was like nobody knows about it. Like nobody, my fan base and the crossover to the show right before SpongeBob on Nickelodeon is not, that Venn diagram is thin.
All right. We're going to go eat dinner. I know that's what I'm going to do. Is that okay? Do we have
thank you so much for coming out. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys for coming.
Thanks for coming out.
Thank you,
Thank you for your
Philly.
questions.
Thank you, Pensy.
Stop on by our
Thank you,
tables.
host.
We'll be
What's your
right
name?
around the corner. And yeah, see you soon.
We want to thank Ray. Let's give him a round.
Thanks, Ray. Thank you, Ray.
Ray
did
so
great.
much, man.
Hooray! Get it?
This is Brandon McInnes, the voice of Finral in Black Clover, and you're watching Fandom Spotlight. Please subscribe, please. If you don't, I'll be sad, okay? Thanks. Bye.